This is Shelley Neese with the Jerusalem Connection. Caroline Glick, a giant in Israeli journalism, has recently published her book, The Israeli Solution. In her manifesto, Glick goes into serious detail about the problems inherent in a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. She makes note of the fact that the mantra of a two-state solution has been pushed by every president since Nixon, and so often repeated by Israeli leaders that talk of alternatives always dead end. However, leave it to Glick to not just write articles about taboo subjects, but to write an entire book debunking the two-state idea that most academic and political circles have unanimously accepted. I'm sure many of Glick's enemies immediately dismiss her one-state ideas as extremist, just based off the fact that she goes against a decades-long tradition of pushing for a Palestinian state alongside Israel. But in fact, Glick is so strategic in her thinking and thorough in her argument for a one-state solution that she is hard to discredit. When Glick argues for a one-state solution, she is talking about the need for Israel to incorporate Judea and Samaria, or the West Bank, into its sovereign territory. She makes no apology for the fact that Israel won back these Jewish lands in a defensive war against her enemies. To her, incorporating the land is not only essential for Israel's future, but justifiable because of Jewish history. Once Israel has extended its laws to the West Bank, all Palestinians will be granted permanent resident status in the state, with a path to citizenship. Palestinian residents will enjoy full civil rights, just as the current Palestinian citizens of Israel. Of course, the biggest question that Glick has to answer is, what about all the Palestinians living in the West Bank? If they become citizens of the state of Israel, won't Israel cease to be a Jewish state? A threat we often hear repeated is that if Israel doesn't give the Palestinians their own state soon, then Israel will cease to have a majority Jewish population. But Glick claims that threat is based on a lie. The demographic reasons given for a two-state solution are based off census data conducted by the Palestinian Authority in 1997. That census dramatically inflated the population of Palestinians living in the West Bank by as much as 50%. The faulty demographic numbers have been used against Israel ever since to scare them into peace. Glick uses a newer and more accurate census that takes into account the declining birth rates of Palestinians, the steady e-migration of Palestinians to other parts of the world, and how the opposite is true for the Jewish population. Glick says that even if every Palestinian in the West Bank was granted Israeli citizenship, Jews would still have a 2/3 majority. Also, Glick is not promoting a binational state. Israel would remain a Jewish state, just with a larger Arab population. She cites some positive movements among Israeli Arabs who are current citizens of the state and have embraced full integration into the Jewish state. Certainly, life in the Jewish state has never looked so good in comparison to its volatile and impoverished neighbors. As for the Palestinians who are already citizens of Israel, they are hardly seeking to leave the region's only democracy. Of course, for the one-state solution to work best, a centerpiece of its adaptation should be the old adage for Jews to be fruitful and multiply. But even leftists would have to admit that certainly beats war. We would love to hear your thoughts on the idea that is quickly becoming labeled as the Glick plan. Shavua Tov.